So, welcome everybody. My name is Jerome Braggs. I am a master healer, spiritual teacher, and medical intuitive medium. And I wanted to come today and discuss with you all the reasons people who really want to heal don't. And this topic arose out of kind of three things. One, I recently had a conversation with a friend of mine who is experiencing a severe health situation, and she's been really trying a lot of different things. We had a discussion a few days ago over lunch, and she's been trying many different things to try to heal. And when she's asked my opinion on some certain things, I've given her these topics that we're going to talk about today, these points that we're going to talk about today. And from my perspective as a healer and from a medical intuitive, I could see exactly why she hadn't been making transformative shifts in her healing. Although she was, following a different diet plan, she was seeing a lot of different holistic practitioners, and alternative, as well as traditional medical practitioners. And she was doing all sorts of things. Her shift in her health wasn't really making it. There was like really small increments. There was not a dramatic or a transformative shift. She had been experiencing these for years. And I could see exactly what was going on at the cause of that. I could see kind of what the cause was that was causing her not to heal, even though she really wanted it and even though she really deserves it, right? So that was the first thing. The second thing was, as a medical intuitive and a healer, I work with many people, helping them heal their lives, helping them heal their hearts, and also helping them heal their bodies, especially their bodies, whether it's from a chronic illness or an incurable disease or something that's been acute, that's happened recently that is a very severe or even a minor situation. My work has been to help many people heal themselves, And so I've seen in my work, there's two different types of people that come to me. There are people who implement kind of what I teach them, or what the principles and tools and exercises and experiences that we work on to heal. Or there's people who really don't get that, and they kind of fight the process. And so they may have acute shifts, but before you know it, the illness or disease comes back, or they don't really achieve the healing that they want. And so I began to look at what the difference was in between the two types of clients that I was having, people that really healed and the people that did not. And then the third thing was, I had my own healing journey. In 2004, a team of doctors gave me 7 days to live. They diagnosed me. I checked into the hospital with what I thought was the flu, and it ended up being diagnosed with kidney failure, pneumonia, pancreatitis, anemia, fluid-packed lung, 20 pounds of fluid overload on my body, a parasite in my stomach. And if all of that wasn't delicious enough, AIDS. And I was told that all of that had progressed to a point that the doctors couldn't really help me, and that they were giving me about 7 days to live. And what I did initially was I threw everything I knew how to do about trying to create your reality. I was a student of the law of attraction already. I was a mind, body, spirit student already. So I began to throw everything I knew about healing at that particular challenge. And 3 months after I was initially diagnosed and in the hospital, I was fully recovered. My kidneys were fully functional, and there was no trace of AIDS or HIV in my system anymore. And I thought life was great. I thought I knew exactly what it took to not only heal your body, but to create what you really wanted for your life. And that was all great, and that all worked out for me until I found myself back in that same hospital with the exact same team of doctors a year and a half later with the exact same diagnosis to the T. And this time, instead of giving me 7 days to live, the doctors gave me, 48 hours. And this time, the second time that I was faced with this kind of healing thing, I knew that what I had tried the first time wasn't going to work. That was that there was something about healing and something about living well that I didn't really understand. I didn't have the complete picture, and that I had learned quickly, and that quickly was a quick fix. It's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on the situation, and it wasn't really a deeper healing. And the second journey, I knew that if I was going to really heal this time to where I wasn't just surviving, but that I was thriving, that I was going to have to take apart everything that I had been taught about who I was and about what healing really was and about what living really was. And I was going to have to go on a deep spiritual journey to learn a different way to heal and to learn a different way to live. And so what I learned in that journey, it took me about, that journey took about 9 years. It doesn't have to take 9 years for the average person. I was very stubborn. But it took me about 9 years, but I learned some very important aspects about healing. And during that time, also my intuitive gifts and my healing gifts opened up. But I learned some very important things about healing, and I learned some very important things about what it means to live well. And so I want to share that. I want to have a discussion with you all today around that. So I see it. Mary, thank you for letting me know what your name is. And everybody else, if you are in the room, if you kind of just let me know you're here, you can put a little on the bottom right-hand side. You can just type a little thing, say, I'm here, I hear you. Or, if you have a question already, please put that in. I'd love to have you address some of your questions and also give you an opportunity to kind of share in here in a second. So I'm going to open the seat up here in a second after I talk about the first aspect. So all these things together kind of led me to wanting to kind of share this because I work with a lot of people on healing. I myself had a lot of misperceptions about what healing took, which is why it took me 9 years to heal all of those things the second time. And just in the conversations out in society and in our dominant culture, there are some misperceptions we have about what it actually takes to heal and what healing is actually about. And so I want to address all of that today. So the first thing I want to talk about why people who really deserve to heal, who really deserve to have wellness and who really deserve to live at a space from wholeness in their body, do not actually heal. And the first reason for that is when we receive a diagnosis, especially if it's a scary diagnosis, if it's a terminal illness or an incurable disease or something that may be debilitating. So for instance, the things that were scary and to me were kidney failure and AIDS. Or, some people may have a cancer diagnosis or diabetes or some other thing like that. So I see Helene asked, how can you heal the internal part of another person? We're definitely going to talk about the process of that in a second. We're definitely going to get to that. So the first thing that happens, and this is the first reason why people don't usually heal, is that the first thing that ends up happening is we begin to take this stance of like, I have to fight. Right? I have to fight against this illness. I have to fight against my body. My body has become an enemy to me. And it is an enemy that I have to conquer. This is the same kind of thought process behind some of the things we have, like fight cancer, beat AIDS, kick cancer's ass, kick diabetes ass, and all these kind of things that we have. And what we're doing is we're making our body and this illness an enemy. And so here's what the truth actually is. The truth is that your body is not an enemy. Your body is your best friend. And the disease is not, or the illness is not an enemy. It's a messenger. It's there sending you a message from your soul that something about how you are living, something about the energy that you are offering off in your daily life, and something about what you believe about yourself is out of alignment with who you really are as a soul. It's out of alignment with who you really are as a divine, conscious, eternal, loving, whole, worthy being. So it's a messenger. So here's the key about your health situation. At any given point, our bodies are message boards, and they're sending us a message at any given point about this, through the status of our health, about how well we're living in alignment with our truth, about who we really are, and how well we're loving ourselves, how well we're treating ourselves. And if we're not treating ourselves well, if we're not loving ourselves well, And if we're not living in alignment with our truth, if we're betraying ourselves, if we're dishonoring ourselves, if we're living in disintegrity with ourselves, then what ends up happening is we end up blocking somehow our spirit, our soul from fully expressing in our life. And when our spirit, it becomes blocked in our lives, and when it becomes blocked from expressing, that's when our bodies begin to send us a message, because our spirit, a full expression of who we are, a full alignment with our truth, is pure health, it's pure wellness. That's where wellness actually comes from. And when we're not in alignment with that, what ends up happening is our body begins to shut down and begins to send us messages. And it doesn't just automatically, if you begin to do this today, tomorrow you're not going to wake up with a big kind of illness. The more shutdown that you have, the more resistance you have, the more out of alignment that you are with who you really are, the greater the illness is going to be. So, and the longer you've held it, the greater the illness is going to be. So in the beginning, it may just be a cold. You may have high blood pressure. You may have, your sugar may be a little out of whack. You may have some small thing that just takes a small adjustment in the beginning. Like your body's going to send you several different signs. It's just like people say the taps on the shoulder, right? So it's like the soul gives you kind of a little feather tap in the beginning when you're living out of alignment with yourself. It's just a little feather tap. And then when you don't pay attention to that, it kind of gives you a stronger tap on the shoulder, right? And if you don't pay attention to that, then it may give you a slap against the face. And if you don't pay attention to that, which, again, I raised my hand because I was a very stubborn person, so I did not listen to any of those types of signs, but they were all there. So if you don't pay attention to that, then it has to give you kind of a brick upside the head moment. And the brick upside the head moment is usually the last kind of, it's like the last line on the battlefield to kind of help you. It's kind of the last line of defense. It's like the big wake up call to, hey, love, either you're going to wake up and you're going to see that how you've been living is not who you really are, and it's not in alignment, and it's not in alignment with why you came here, the most delicious life possible. Like, you either believe you're not worthy, or you believe you're not attractive, or you believe you're not deserving, or you're beating up on yourself, or you're making yourself wrong, or, you're betraying yourself, or something's going on for a chronic period of time that has kept you from really expressing who you really are as a soul. And so your body is the last line of defense. Like, some things will happen in your relationships first, they'll happen in your finances first, they may happen in your job or your outside life before it gets to the body. The body's the last line of defense. And so when it gets to the body, the more you ignore it, the bigger it has to become, right? So it's not that your body's an enemy. It's not that it's doing something separate from you. It's that your body's communicating to you to help you wake up and finally hear the messages that you've not been paying attention to for so long. So when you begin to fight the body, when you begin to make the body an enemy, and you have to beat this cancer, and you have to fight this AIDS, and you've got to fight against it, what ends up happening is you begin to take more stress on in the body. You begin to take more stress, and stress is the antithesis to healing. So you begin to take more stress when you're in the fight or flight response, right? And the other thing that happens is, here's a spiritual law that's not actually taught enough. We teach about the law of attraction. Many people have heard that, what you focus on expands, and what you believe comes true for yourself, and what you continue to think becomes your reality. But here's another aspect of it that we don't actually talk about enough. And that is, what you resist must persist. What you resist must persist. So if you're in the space of, and so it makes a lot of sense if you remember again that this is a message. And so if you're resisting the message, then it has to get louder. If you're not listening to it, it's got to get louder, right? So nothing ever leaves you alone in your life until you learn the lesson it came here to teach you, until you get the message it came here to give you, right? And so it may go away for a second, but if you don't get the message, it's got to come back. you've got to get another message. It's got to get another message. Hey, PJ World, I see you, and I also see that you're in contact with Mary there. Yes. This also directly deals with weight gain and weight loss that you don't want as well. This is all, the body is always a message, right? And so when you're fighting something, and when you're fighting against your body, it must persist. As a matter of fact, it must get bigger. One, because anything that we focus on, again, going back to the law of attraction, anything we give our energy to, anything we give our focus to must expand in our life instead of diminish, right? That's actually the paradox. The very thing you don't want to have expand in your life, the key to it is to not give it so much attention, to not fight against it. But instead, the first thing we do is we fight. We go against it. We fight our bodies. This is something I need to fight. This is something I need to beat. Instead of this is something, and so it persists and it just gets bigger. Instead of fighting it, listen and accept it and say, this is not something I need to fight against. This is something I need to listen to and bring more deeply into my heart. So for me, instead of trying to fight against kidney failure and dialysis, because I had to be on dialysis, and I fought so hard. I was the biggest warrior against dialysis and kidney failure and AIDS that you could have ever seen. Like, I was just like, I'm going to beat this thing. I'm going to follow a vegan diet. I'm going to do all of these affirmations. I'm just like, all of this from this period of like, this is something I need to fight and beat. And I wasn't really understanding why I was doing all the things I was supposed to be doing. I was eating well. I was doing positive affirmations. I was negating, the prognosis that my doctors were giving me. I was like, I'm whole and I'm well. I would tell myself that every day in the morning. Every day I'm getting better and better. I'm whole and I'm well. And I would see like incremental shifts. I was exercising. I was doing everything, right? And I would see these incremental shifts, but I wouldn't see the big shifts. And it wasn't like things were getting tremendously better. And it wasn't until I stopped and I said, you know what? What if kidney failure and AIDS aren't my enemies, they're my friends? What if they're gurus here to teach me how to live better, right? And so what message do they have for me? Right. And so instead of trying to fight them, and it didn't mean I didn't take my medicine. It didn't mean that I didn't go to dialysis treatments, but it meant that I wasn't in the space now that what was happening with me was against me. And instead of it being against me, that it was for me. And if it was for me, then I leaned into it instead of leaned against it like that. Right. And that's when everything began to shift for me. That's when my body began to heal tremendously and miraculously and quickly. When I stopped fighting it and I started welcoming it in. I remember a friend of mine, a very good spiritual teacher, said to me one day that what surrender actually looks like, or what actually welcoming in things actually looks like, or leaning in actually looks like. I see there's a question like, how do you lean? So, what it actually looks like, and this is exactly what, because I had asked my friend this a few years ago, I said, what does that actually looks like? And he said to me, it looks like the very things that you're trying to keep away that are knocking at your door, like the kidney failure, the AIDS, or whatever illness you're going through, or whatever challenge you're going through. It may be something going on with your finances, it may be something going on in relationships, and they're knocking at your door, and you're like you're holding the door like, no, please don't come in here, please don't come in here, please don't come in here. Whatever it is, I don't want this for my life, I don't want this, you're not welcome here, you're not welcome. What leaning in actually looks like, and what accepting it actually looks like, and stop fighting it actually looks like, it looks like opening the door and saying, welcome to my home, have a seat, and serving it tea. Right? And I know for a lot of people, I know for me initially, it was like, oh, hell no. I'm not like, I don't want this. If I welcome this, then that's like giving up. And it's not giving up. What it is it says leaning in is like saying, welcome. What do you have? What gift do you have for me? Welcome to my home. What gift? Because everything in your life, I promise you, no matter what it looks like, this is spiritual lesson number 2. Everything in your life is there. It has a gift. Everything that shows up in your life has a gift. It doesn't mean it has to stay, but once you get the gift, oftentimes it leaves. And so, welcome. What's the gift that you have for me? I don't want to fight you. I don't need to fight you. Here's some tea. Here's, I'm going to sit down and converse with you, and I'm going to learn what you're here to teach me. That's what leaning in actually looks like. It looks like welcoming this situation, not fighting it, and understanding that it doesn't diminish you to experience it. Like, it doesn't make you less beautiful, less worthy, less whole to experiencing this. It means that you are literally offering over your life and the experience and understanding that this here is to serve you. So that's the first thing, right? That's the first reason. So it's not here to fight. It's here to serve. And so, yes, I see, wow, lean into the disease and ask what it is here to teach you. Exactly. And yeah, I understand. Like, this is resonating for a lot of you all. I see here that Mary says you're walking into my home and into my office and you're looking me in my eyes. Yes, love. This is about all of us. This isn't just about me. So, and yes, I hear you, PJ. This is so powerful. So I want to offer up a chance if anybody has anything to say about this first one. We have 3 more to discuss. So the first one is don't fight it. That's why why people don't heal who really want to and who really deserve it, is because they take this position of fighting it instead of actually leaning into it. And understanding that the illness or the disease is actually there to serve you. It has a message for you to shift your life from the person that you used to be. I want to read this one quote before I open the seat. And I think this quote is I think it's in the Bible, as a matter of fact, but it may not be. So if it's not, please don't charge this to me. I'm horrible with actually giving quotes to the people that actually belong to sometimes. But I think this one comes from the Bible. And it's like, whosoever shall try and save his life shall lose his life, but whosoever shall lose his life shall save it. And I love this because this goes exactly what I'm talking about. It's like you fight it because you're trying to save who you used to be. And the illness or the disease is there to say who you used to be, you have to give over. It must die. It must die. That person, who you were being and how you were being, led you here. And your soul has another level of life that is trying to lead you to a higher, more juicy, more delicious level of life that is trying to lead you towards that it can't lead you towards while you're fighting this. Like, if you're so busy protecting your old way of life, it doesn't take you into the transformation and the divine intimacy, the intimacy with the divine that your soul is trying to lead you towards. It's only when you're willing to offer that over, to stop fighting and offer who you used to be over, that you get kind of the interior salvation, that you get the interior transformation. And that's what your illness is all about. It's about helping you have the interior transformation, the interior salvation, so that you can have a more delicious life and a more intimate relationship with the divine. So I'm going to open the seat up. And let me see. I think I opened the seat up. No. Yeah, I think I opened the seat up. So if any of you all here have anything that you'd like to discuss, okay, I see one person coming in.
Hey there.
Hi, Mary. How are you?
I am wonderful, and you?
I am very good today. Very good today. So what I want to kind of just dive in, because I know in the interest of time, what would you like to offer to this conversation, to this discussion, or if what touched you or didn't touch you, or resonated or didn't resonate?
It resonated with me in the sense that whenever I resist, there's always something physical that happens to me. So about 3 years, I really didn't like the job I was in, yet I didn't want to go find another job. I didn't want all the hassle, quote unquote, associated with it. But instead of addressing that and saying, okay, I'm responsible for the feeling that I'm having towards the job, but I didn't want to deal with it. So I ate and I ate.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gained back
Mm-hmm.
all the weight I worked so hard to lose. And I keep getting this recurring cough. And now I'm resisting something else. I'm going to be a coach. I thought it would be more mindset coaching, yet and still everything I was encountering yesterday had to do with my hair. And I have been resisting that for the longest time. And many people have said, you should be a coach. You should tell people how to care for their natural hair. I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And this cough is here again. And now I realize that I need to get in my quiet space, my time, and seek Him for my guidance. I need to listen to what is being told and lean into it. And this is going to be such a beautiful process. I can't wait to see what I become. So thank you.
Yeah, leaning in. I've never seen, and this is just from my personal life and also for the clients I've worked with, I have never seen, there are two things that lead to a miracle always. And that is forgiveness, radical, deep forgiveness. When you forgive everyone, everything, it usually leads to, I've always seen that lead to a miracle, some type of way. The other thing is when you surrender and you lean into closer to the center of your life instead of fighting it. Mm-hmm. I've always seen that lead to a miracle. I've seen it in my personal life and I've seen it in other people's lives. When you actually say to the divine, you say, here's my whole life. I don't need to try and fight it and change it anymore. Especially that thing that you say, because we all have this thing, and everybody on this call, you have this. Can you all hear me? I know some of you are saying my audio is bad.
It may they may have to refresh. It sounds wonderful on my end.
Okay, so if the audio is bad for you, click the refresh button on the top, and that will refresh it, and probably the audio will come back. And if it doesn't, if you do that, you come back. Please let me know, because I see a lot of people saying the audio is good. So if it's not, try to refresh it and come back. So going back to the leaning in, what I found is when we all have that thing where like, yeah, I surrender this thing, but not this thing.
Yes.
Like this one thing, you can't have that. Like I need that, or I really want this thing to happen in my life. You can't have that. And we're gonna get into this when I talk about the next kind of things why people don't heal. But it's that thing, that one. But what I found is when you say, here, even if this doesn't change,
wow,
make me okay. Make me okay with this. Even if like I never get better. Even if, and I'm going to share, actually, let me share a story with you, a personal story. So the last day, this is the penultimate day, which means the next to last day I was on dialysis. So every day I used to go to dialysis, I would have a book in my hand. I'd have headphones on with back then I had a little cassette tape. So it wasn't like the iPod. I had a little cassette thing, a little CD player. And I'd be playing like these uplifting, positive songs and affirmations. And I'd be listening to speakers and I'd read these books that were talking about healing. And what I didn't do was I never looked at the people next to me, because I thought that if I paid attention to this, then I was accepting and owning that this was my life and I was going to heal. And so I wasn't going to pay attention to them because their life wasn't my life. And I was like totally not present in this space because I was totally in this kind of healing space. And it was this one day I went to dialysis and I was putting my headphones on, I was opening my book, and I had this aha moment. And I said to myself, what if I never get better? What if this I'm going to be on dialysis for the rest of my life? What if that's just what happens? I still deserve to be happy. And I still deserve to be at peace. And I still deserve to be present for my entire life, right? And so I took my headphones off and I closed my book and I looked around the room. And thank you. I see that you finally are hearing me. But I looked around the room for the first time, and I saw the people that were there, and I talked to the people that were there. And I looked at the dialysis machine, which I never did. I never looked at it. And I looked at it, and I felt this overwhelming gratitude for this machine who was helping me stay alive right now. And I felt this overwhelming gratitude for these people that were on this same journey as I was, figuring out how to live life, who had their life changed, figuring out how to live life. And I had this peace. And see, this is what I know that happens when you lean in closer to the center of your life and you surrender. You begin to be at peace, and you begin to experience grace, because at the center of your life is peace and the divine presence of God, the divine presence of Source. That's the Source, God, soul. It exists in the center of your life, not on the fringes of it. And so I began to be at peace, and I began to really understand that I was whole, that I wasn't like beforehand when I wasn't allowing myself to be present and lean into my life. I wasn't whole. I didn't feel like I was whole, but now I was whole. I want to share this one thing that happened to you. So the very next dialysis treatment that I went to, I went like, I didn't bring a book. I didn't bring anything to listen to. I was just fully present with what was going on and really enjoying my life. Like, I deserve to be happy. I'm happy. I can enjoy this, right? In the middle of my treatment, my doctor came in and said, I don't know what's happening, but your kidneys have come back, right? And we have to take you off of dialysis. Literally the very next day, not the very next day, it was 2 days after, because I went Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays at that time. So it was like when I leaned in closer to the center of my life and stopped fighting it, it was like my soul said, now you don't have anything to fight. When I made peace with what is, when I made peace with what is in my life made peace with me. So that's the message behind not fighting things. It's like, make peace with it. Make peace with the fact that you're experiencing this health challenge. Make peace with the fact that you're experiencing this disease. And I can promise you, the deeper you fall into making peace with it, the more it'll start making peace with you. And it may not completely leave, but you may not have the pain anymore. You may not have the limitations anymore. It will change. It will make peace with you. So that's kind of the first thing, right? So that's the first thing about why. So people ask, like, how do you know you leaned in? The huge result, the end result of leaning in and finally surrendering is you're at peace. Mm. And nothing needs to change about this situation in your life, or this illness or this disease, for you to feel at peace. So that's the first thing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, much love, much love. I love your story. I'm going to share, in the interest of time, we have like 20 more minutes. So I'm going to share the other things. And if you want to come back in, please come back in. Mary, if you want to have something else to say after those things, please come back in. So the second thing is kind of really important. It's like the second reason why people don't heal who really want to heal is that they bring the same energy that kind of brought the message to them in the first place, the illness as a messenger. They bring the same energy that caused the illness or disease into their healing practice. So, for instance, for many people who are stressed, like, stress is the reason you live a very stressed out life. That's the reason why you got the message through the illness in the first place, right? You were very stressed out. So what I find often is they bring that same stress into their healing practice. So now they're trying to heal, right? They're into this healing, but instead of it being a journey of like ease and relaxation and gentleness and loving themselves. It's like they're stressed. So they're working out, they're taking the vegan diet, they're doing this. They have like 17 different healing modalities they're engaged in. They don't have free time because every piece of their time is taken up into some healing aspect now. And then you look at your life and it's like, I'm more stressed out now than I was before I was sick. Like, I have a friend of mine, this very friend I was telling you about at the beginning. Every single day of her life, she's at some energy healer or some massage therapist or something, and she doesn't even have free time anymore to actually enjoy her life. It's all taken, and she's like, and she doesn't realize, she can't figure out why she's stressed out. And I'm like, baby, you're stressed out because you're still bringing that same stress that caused this imbalance in your body into trying to rebalance your body. And healing takes a completely different energy than what caused the illness. It takes a whole different energy. So, yes, I love that. Resistance is futile. I love it. Yes, Mary, that's exactly correct. So it's like if I'm stressed, or let's say fear. Fear is a huge thing that causes illness and disease. People are either afraid that they're not safe, or that life is not on their side, or they're afraid that they're not enough, or something about them is not lovable somehow, or they're afraid that, they're less than. Something about them is less than, right? And so those are kind of the three main fears: that I'm not enough, and that I'm less than. Something about me is not lovable and unloved, and that I'm not safe in the world, and I have to protect myself. So you have these fears, right? And they have caused this imbalance. Again, remember, when we have these fears that aren't the truth of who we really are, it begins to so we operate like a funnel. So you're like a funnel, and life pours the energy of God, the energy of source, the energy of the soul pours through you. But the more you have beliefs and you have thoughts that are not in alignment with the truth of who you are, with the truth that you're lovable, with the truth that you are enough and you're already worthy and deserving, you don't need to change anything about you to do that, you're not less than, and the truth that you are safe and supported in the universe, the more you begin to believe things that are not in alignment with that, you begin to shut down your funnel. And so less and less and less and less and less of the spirit can pour through you. And when less of the spirit can pour through you, that's when illness starts to show up. It's not your fault. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just not aware that you're shutting off your funnel, right? So the thing that happens is, I'm going to get a call right now. So you calling when we finish the thought, and then I definitely will add you in. I see a caller coming in. So what ends up happening is that you bring this same energy. Please call back. I saw that you were calling. Please call back. I'm going to add you in like in 10 seconds. So please go back into the open seat. So what ends up happening is you get this when you bring the same energy over. So if you're afraid, and so I see this with people who do this with food, right? So they're afraid that something about them is not enough, and they beat themselves up and they punish themselves. And then they go into their healing, and they're like, they become a vegan or a vegetarian. And if they don't follow, like if they don't eat everything organic today, and they don't meditate today, or they don't do yoga today, they beat themselves up. They bring the same energy of beating themselves up and feeling like they've done something wrong or they're not worthy enough into their healing. And that is what's keeping them from healing. It's like you're bringing the same energy that your soul is saying you can't live like this anymore into the healing process. And it's you can't live like that anymore. Like that's not the energy that you have to take to your healing process. So I'm going to bring in a person calling.
Can you hear me nicely?
Hi, welcome. Can you hear me?
I'm good. Can you hear me nicely? I want to make sure that you can hear me. Okay,
Yes, and what's
excellent.
your name? Because I want to make sure I pronounce it correctly.
It's Teach the Great.
Teach the
Yes.
Great. Okay. So,
Yes.
Teach, do you have something that you want to share with this on this topic?
Okay. This is a topic which is very close to my heart. I mean, extremely close. The reason being, I'm in Africa right now. I just spent the last, I don't know how many years in the US. Back in 1989, a friend of mine died from cancer,
Mm.
right? It was a horrible death, um, and that was a tough time. Then uh, last year, a very dear friend of mine was diagnosed with stage 2 lung cancer, right? So I started looking for solutions everywhere, right? And I discovered a doctor by the name of Dr. Sebi, right?
Mm-hmm. I know
And
Dr. Sleeping.
okay, we
Mm-hmm.
flew to Honduras, right? And within 15 days, she was up and running. Within a month, cancer gone, right? So I became a big advocate of that doctor. And I discovered he's the only doctor in the world who's legally allowed to claim to cure cancer, HIV, AIDS, all of those incurable diseases. The way he did it was nothing magical. It was normal things, right? Um, he was giving my friend food which was designed for our bodies. Like he cures only black people. So if anyone who says not black, I apologize. Don't get offended. It's him, right? So he gives you food from Africa, right? Not processed stuff, not Western. Like most people think adopting a vegan lifestyle is the right way to go. But if your body was not designed for that lifestyle, you're not going to heal, right? And the second thing which he forces his patients to do is you have to fast. That's one thing which he stresses. You fast for at least 40 days, right? So what are you doing? You are completely detoxing your body of all the horrible things which you have been consuming over the what? The years. So to cure each and every disease, you need to fast. You need to eat the right food which was made for you. And it's said that a lot of people are told, okay, you need to go on this diet, you need to change this, you need to change that. But is it the right thing for you? And I'm talking from experience. I lost a friend of mine, right? When he actually passed away, I was holding his hand. It was tough. I was a young boy, right? And last year, I had to do whatever it took, right? And now I'll share that message with everyone. So people get sick because of one main reason: the subliminal messages which you are bombarded with, right? Like when it's approaching winter, people are told you are going to get sick. The flu season is starting. When I was in the States, it was a big thing. People were being told to go get flu vaccines, right? And what happened was, if you don't get a vaccine, for sure you get sick because you are expecting it. Your mind is expecting it, right? So you need to divorce yourself from that world. And remember, now there's a cure for every disease.
Yeah, there's two things. There's if you are believing, again, this goes back into what I was talking about. So one, I'm glad to hear somebody was mentioned Dr. Sebi. I knew Dr. Sebi when I lived in Atlanta. I actually worked with him a little bit. So he was part of my healing journey, so I know him quite well. But one of the things is, if you are believing, again, going back to the conversation of if you have feelings, it's really about feelings, how you feel about yourself. So if you feel that you are unsafe, that something can attack you or that you can get sick or something like that, then that has to be true for you. Because here's the thing, the universal law that many people do not understand, that we're not teaching, because we're not teaching this in our institutions, is the universe's entire job is to help make all your beliefs come true. All of your beliefs come true. So if you believe that you're not enough, then you have to have an experience that teaches you you're not enough. If you believe that you're going to get cancer, you have a fear, especially if you have a fear of it. You have a fear that you can get cancer, you're going to attract AIDS, then that has to be your experience. Because the universe's entire job, this is what free will is about, is to make all of your beliefs come true, because the universe is not here to make you insane. So if you believe something, and it's a belief in your cells, it has to be true, or else you're going to be insane. The other thing about this is it's not just about the belief in sickness. It's also, are you living a life that is in alignment with your truth and with your soul? And if you are not living a life in alignment with your soul and your truth, you are going to be ill. You are going to be ill. It's going to happen. It may not happen it's not going to happen next week necessarily, but if you have a chronic experience of betraying yourself, of abandoning yourself, of making yourself wrong and beating yourself up, your body cannot handle that. Your body is not created to handle that type of abuse, and you are going to be sick. So those are the two things. But yes, that's absolutely what I want. I'm so glad you said it. I'm surprised I hadn't said it yet, but I'm so glad you said it. There is
jump off and just listen in, okay?
Yeah. There's absolutely nothing that is incurable. Everything can be healed. Curing something means that something externally outside of you has to fix it. Healing means the internal, something inside of you can fix it. And what I often tell my clients is when you get a terminal or incurable diagnosis, all that means is the doctor has reached his or her limit to how much they can help you. Now you have to begin to help yourself. That's all it means. It doesn't mean this illness or this disease cannot be healed. It means that external factors through the medical field can no longer help you with your healing. So that's the kind of first thing. I'm really glad somebody mentioned Dr. Sabia. If anybody is out there dealing with a chronic or terminal or incurable illness or disease, I would just highly research Dr. Sabia. Dr. Sabia is S-E-B-I. I think he is now in Honduras, but I know that he can work with people outside of that area. But there are many different ways and many different paths to heal, but you've got to do these things we're talking about. Stop fighting it. Stop bringing the same energy that brought this illness into this in the first place. And then the third thing is, check my notes here. The third thing is, yes, this is so important, that I saw many people. Oh, well, actually, I want to address something else. So what Teach was just talking about, which is really, really important that I've seen also, is that, yes, if you don't address these things, yes, you can do an initial healing, just like I had my initial healing the first time when I just did all the law of attraction stuff and ate well and followed actually some of Dr. Sabi's teachings. I was able to recover. But what I find, and this is what I find in a lot of people that I've worked with, if you don't get the underlying message that your illness is here to teach you, it reoccurs. So this is why a lot of people may have cancer go into remission and then years later or a year later it comes back. Or why people who have healed from something, it comes back 5 years later or something like that. So the reason is you've got to get the message, because until you get the message, it can't go away. It has to come back. Remember, I said the message has to keep getting louder. So you can fight it and try to, and it will change initially. But until you get the message that it was here to, that the illness and disease was here to offer you, until you get that message, it's going to come back. The message, you have to get the message again. It's got to get, because the message is about getting you to a higher level of living and helping you become who you really are in your life. It's really a juicy message. It's about helping you have a more delicious life. But it's so, if you don't get the message, you continue to live a life that's less than what you deserve, and you continue to live a life of pain and struggle and limitation. So that's exactly what I'm talking about. So yes, you may heal initially, but it's going to come back. And so I want you to get to a point where you don't have to go back, where it doesn't have to be this reoccurring cycle. And so that's number 3 is get the message. You got to get the message. And so one of the key things that I love to do and to love to help people do to get the message is, get a journal every day. Ask your illness or your disease a question, as you're doing the eating plan, as you're following what works for you, as Teach said, as you're, seeing the holistic practitioners and the doctors. I'm not saying don't do Western medicine, let them do their thing, but you also do your thing. As you're doing all of that, in a journal, write out, what are you here to teach me? What is, dear AIDS, what are you here to teach me? Dear kidney failure, what are you here to teach me? What message do you have for me? What message do you have for me today? And then listen, do a brief meditation. You can do a minute of just breathing and just silencing your mind and let your body speak to you. It will speak if you get quiet enough. And if you do this enough to listen, it will speak to you. And then write out what you hear. What does AIDS have to say? For me, AIDS was about loving myself. It was about, I used to be so ashamed. I used to think I wasn't attractive enough. I wasn't thin enough. I didn't have a six pack enough. I wasn't muscular enough. I wasn't, masculine enough because I was a gay man. So I was ashamed of that. And so AIDS was about really, that when I began to do this journaling process, what AIDS said to me was everything about you is lovable and it deserves to be in the light. There's nothing about you that makes you less than. And so when I began to embody that message, to get the message and actually make the shift of feeling that nothing needed to change about me in order to be lovable or to be enough, that I was not less than, that I deserve to live wholly in the light, that's when everything began to shift in my health around HIV. Kidney failure was about stop scaring the shit out of yourself. That's exactly the message the kidney said to me. Stop scaring yourself. Stop feeling like there's something less than about you or that you're not safe in the world or you can't, or that it's not safe to be who you really are, right? And so what does your illness or disease or health challenge, what's the message is here to ask you? Take some time to hear it. Get the message. And if you get the message, it won't have to come back. It won't come back. Okay. So that's one thing. Then the fourth thing, because in the interest of time, I'm kind of running through because I don't want to keep you all. I was really hoping just that this was going to be 60 minutes, and so we're 3 minutes after that. So the last thing was that what I often see people do, and this is me speaking as well, is that we tie our. The third thing was get the message. That they don't, the reason why people don't heal is because they don't get the message that their illness or disease is there to give them. They resist it, they're fighting it, or they're not listening to it. And so they keep living that same way. They keep believing and thinking and feeling that same way, and nothing transforms about them, right? And so your illness is literally the boat that takes you back home. If you'll journey it, if you'll really get on the boat, it will be the boat that takes you back home to yourself and to your soul. It will be the thing that if you really listen to it and you really apply its message, not only will you have this, you'll have this inner healing, right? And that's what it's all about anyway. It's not about healing the body. The body healing is the byproduct, I promise you. What actually is being asked to heal is your life and how you feel about yourself and how you view yourself and how you're being in the world. That's what the soul is asking you to heal. And you heal that, baby, things change. And then so the last thing, and I see you, Omar, I'm about to allow you in here in just 10 seconds. And so the last thing is that we tie our value to healing. And so here's another thing. I gave you the thing that what you resist must persist. Here's another universal law. Until you can feel enough without it, the universe can't give it to you. So if you are saying you need to heal, so this is, well, let me make this personal. So for me, it was until I wanted to heal because I felt like if I wasn't healed, then I wasn't attractive. If I wasn't healed, then people would reject me. If I wasn't healed, then I couldn't help people heal, and I couldn't really do my work, right? And so I was tying my enoughness and my worthiness into this external thing that hasn't happened yet. Instead of just owning that I can live a good life, that I am enough, and I can be who I want to be, and I can do what I want to do, and I can feel good about myself, even if this doesn't change, right? And so what I see a lot of people say is like, if I don't heal from diabetes, or if I don't heal from this kidney failure, if I don't heal from whatever this is, then I'm not enough somehow. And again, that's not in alignment with the truth of who you are. You are always enough. You will always be enough. You will always, 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 always be enough. And so until you can feel enough until you can feel happy, until you can feel whole, until you can feel safe without this having to happen, the universe can't give it to you. So that's the thing about because again, remember, this whole message is about life. It's about living. It's not about healing. The body is there to show you that it's time to live well. And you haven't been living well. You really haven't been living well. You haven't been being yourself. You haven't been happy. You haven't been expressing love and feeling loved. And it's time to do that. And make the healing the byproduct of that. Because I promise you, if you will return yourself to wholeness with that, your body will return to wholeness too. So I know somebody wanted to get into this open seat. I'll just extend this for another 5 minutes. So can you kind of come back? I know you wanted to talk, and I know you just came out. So I'm going to address some questions. So there's an open seat. If anybody wants to come in here and talk, please feel free. I see some of you say, if you believe in trusting in yourself, you believe in trust in source. That is the only qualification to heal. Absolutely. I totally 100 agree with that. People don't heal the way they want because they don't trust in God. Absolutely. You don't trust in the source and the present that is within you, and that is you. Mm-hmm. Yes, please, if the messages resonate with you, please tap on the hands below me here that are looking like this. Please let me know this message is for you. I love fasting, but make sure you fast, you get with a health professional that knows, because some people can fast in ways that are not really healthy for you, that are not really healthy for your body. So, and also, I've done many different fasts, and some of them were actually detrimental to me because I didn't actually really do them in a very healthy way. And some of them were very positive, and I got some amazing results out of them. So I see a lot of you talking about fasting. If you're going to fast, do your research, and also seek a health professional that is certified and can really talk to you about fasting. Yes, I think the hardest thing to do is to love yourself, and society makes you feel less than. We live in a society and a culture and in institutions whose entire purpose is to make you feel less than in some way. Because if you feel less than, then you'll buy something. If you feel less than, then you'll feel like you're a victim and you'll seek out their help and their assistance. We live in an entire system that is built upon making you feel less than some way. And it is a radical act. It is an act of revolution and evolution to stand right where you are and say, I'm enough. Nothing needs to change. I am enough. I have enough. I do enough. And nothing needs to change about me in order for that to be so. So I see somebody coming into the seat here. I'm going to open that up.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hello. I had one short story to share, and it was so interesting to me that this topic came up at this time, because I've just been telling this story to lots and lots of people. I used to work at a place called the National Athletic Health Institute, and we tested the Rams, the Dodgers, and the Lakers for health. And it had to do with their teams, doctors, and the
football teams, for people who don't know.
I'm taking this. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I was just letting people know the Rams, the Dodgers, they were football teams for people that didn't, and baseball teams that didn't know who they were.
I'm sold.
Yeah, some people don't know who they are. Just want you to know.
Okay. So anyway, we used to test them for health, and the most interesting part was that they were very frightened to know what the state of their body was. They really didn't want to know. And I find that a lot with people who are ill. They have their hands up, and it's not that they don't want to take responsibility. It just seems so overwhelming to take responsibility for where they are. And even the thought of listening to their body seems overwhelming and too much for the individual. I know then, alternatively, once we tested these guys and they actually knew where they were, they kind of knew ahead of time. They kind of knew if they had some kind of issue, but being assured that they were okay in 90% of their health evaluation was such a relief that they actually went into joy. They just started partying and laughing, and they were so much happier once they actually were able to see the reality of their situation and acknowledge it. So I think there's a tremendous fear there to actually go and, as you suggest so wisely, talk to your body and hear what it has to say, you know?
Yeah, you brought so powerful. Thank you, because what I find this fear is coming from, for many people, is again a belief the body is separate and an enemy, and there's nothing I can really, that it has its own agenda, and there's nothing I can do for it. So if I find this out, then I'm powerless, and I'm really at the mercy of doctors, or I'm at the mercy of my body, who is an enemy to me right now. And so that is kind of where the fear comes in. But when you can say, my body is my friend, and this isn't anything to fear, and that this whole process is to serve me, and I can walk through this, that's when you release it. But I think, but there's a lot of messaging out there that says, that kind of affirms that belief system, that the body is separate and that it's something else, and you have to kind of conquer it. So when it's separate, and if I believe that, then finding out something is going on with my body is horrifying to me, because now I have to fight, and now I'm in now I'm really alone, right? Because now I don't even have my body on my side. So that's kind of the core of this fear around that so many, especially men, a lot of men have around not really wanting to know what's going on with their health, because my health is beyond my control. And that's a huge thing. And I honor you for what you brought, because that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing. And I hope many of you out there heard that, because that's huge.
Yeah, getting to know your body a little bit. You know, I actually teach a loving kindness meditation, and one of the hardest things for people to do is to feel their body and feel where the pain is actually coming from, to have the bravery to actually do that. A lot of people in our culture, in the Western culture, maybe all over the world, but they ignore their bodies and they push them through, right? You were mentioning that men had such a hard time, you know, when they go into sports, when they go into just daily life, they ignore what they're feeling and they bulldoze. And the body is, at some point, is going to react. It's going to say, whoa.
Yeah, you're not getting the message, right? You're
Right.
bulldozing right on past it. And because you're scared of, and another fear under that is a fear of, because you know that something about you has to change. It has to change. The fear that you have mostly around the change is, it's going to change me into somebody I don't want to be. Instead of understanding, it's coming to change you into the fullest expression of you, which is really what you really want, but you don't know it yet. It's like the real juicy, delicious life that you want, but you're fighting for that old way of being. And I don't want to give this up. I really don't want to give this up. So anything I can do to not have to give this up. So if I have to ignore it, or just plow on past it. Anything to do so I don't have to change that's exactly what's at the core of that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, because what's happening now works. I'm alive. I'm functioning to whatever level I'm comfortable with. I know what it looks like, and I know what my limitations are. What's going to happen if I do something different? What's going to happen if I change that?
Yeah, I changed that just a bit, just a tad.
Yeah.
And I'd say what I'm doing now is comfortable. It's not working, because if it worked, I wouldn't be here, right? So it's not that it's working, but it's really comfortable. And I know this. I know how to maneuver through this. And what you're asking me now is to do something that's uncomfortable that I don't know. And that scares the shit out of me.
You know it. Oh, man. We all know that one.
Exactly.
Anything new, even a good thing.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be body. That can be anything, right? That's on every level of life.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this has been such a, thank you so much. I want to kind of close down in the interest of time, but I love the fact that you brought that in. That was such a juicy piece. And I love your work, and I love your past work. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You brought so much wisdom to this discussion. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you
so much. Thank you, love.
Bye-bye.
So in kind of closing, I see all of you all that have commented. I just wish I could have gotten to every last single one of you all. There's such juicy stuff today. If you want to follow me, and my work is about healing, particularly about taking the healing path of loving yourself and surrendering and leaning in, which we talked about. My Twitter account is at Jerome Braggs. I'm going to put my information down. And yes, EFT tapping is a huge tool. Yes, you all YouTube EFT and tapping if you all are dealing with something huge stuff. Put your stuff on. If you all put your Twitter accounts and everything there, I'm going to put my Twitter account and my Facebook page. I am the only one that deals with those two things, and I post things daily. I do a lot of articles and videos and blogs and posts on my Facebook page. My website is being retooled, so it's down right now. It will be up in a week. But in the meantime, please follow me on Twitter. So I'm going to type my Twitter stuff into Twitter right now in the comment section. And my Facebook page. And we're going to have more conversations, not just about healing, but really about how do you create a juicy, delicious life for yourself that is fully in alignment with your soul, that fully expresses your soul, that serves the intentions of your soul, and serves the purpose of your soul. I'm going to have more different blabs about that, more interactive conversations about that. Trying to do something once a week. Again, this is my third blab, so I'm trying to figure out how this all fits in. But I'm so honored that many of you attended. For any of you all who are dealing with the health challenge, I send my love to you. I send healing energy to you. I am going to do a prayer and a healing treatment for you tonight. And know that if you want further assistance on your healing journey, you can feel free to reach out to me. I'll also give you my email address here. So if any of you all want to reach out or you want to work with me, as a coach, I work with people, helping them heal their lives and their bodies and their businesses. But I also, as a medical intuitive, one of my gifts is to be able to help you really see what the message is behind your illness or challenge, to help you get a really crystal clear picture of what your soul is trying to get you to awaken to through the steps of your health. So if you're having trouble hearing what your body is trying to say to you, you can have a session with me, and it's a 30-minute session. And we can really get to the core of what the message is that your health challenges, that your illness, disease, or health challenge is there to give you, and what the shift is you're being asked to make to fully heal. So until that, thank you all so much. on this. There will be a replay, probably going up within 24 hours after this. So if you want to go back and listen to this, please feel free. But I want to, in the interest of time, I just want to kind of shut down here and just know that from my heart, I am so glad that you all showed up, and all the great questions and all the great people who sat in the seat today and had so much to offer. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Much energy to your healing, much energy to your delicious life, and much energy to your unfoldment. Much love.